and welcome to the life of an entrepreneur. Today's guest is Matt Watson, CEO and founder of Stackify. Hello, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to spend a little time with Matt talking about Stackify, maybe some of his past projects, and also talking about the effects of being an entrepreneur on your personal, professional, and physical life.
Okay.
You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay, so well, let's start with the now. Tell us a little bit about Stackify.
Yeah, so we've been in business for about 5 years. We're based here in Leawood, Kansas. Our customers are other software development teams all over the world. So of all industries, verticals, company sizes, everything. Basically, anybody who has a software development team, they use our services to kind of measure the performance of their software, optimize it, figure out how to improve it, make sure it works, all that sort of stuff, which almost every company has software developers now, so everybody needs it. So it's a pretty universal problem.
So in some of the conversations that you and I have had recently talking about some of the benefits of Stackify, one of the things that I felt was that it really has the opportunity to not only save you a lot of money as a business owner, but also have a higher rate of customer retention due to finding errors before they're a real problem for the user. Are those two things that you think?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best ways to look at it is if you're ever on a website and the website is slow or getting a lot of errors, and as a customer, you're out of there, right? So the developers, the business owners need to know when that happens. When their customers are frustrated and their software's not working. So our product helps them know when that happens, why, how to fix it, all those things. A lot of times developers kind of run on their just kind of gut feeling of their spidey senses if they think something is slow or not quite sure if it's right or wrong or whatever. So we can kind of scientifically answer those questions for them. Our whole goal is to help a lot with developer productivity, giving them access to things that they need to do their job, do them faster, save time, produce higher quality product, all these things. So better, faster, cheaper.
Sure.
Like everything else.
So let's see, sell more or spend less.
Yeah, both.
You're doing it right, you get both.
Yeah.
Now you guys have a number of different products.
We have two products. We have a free product called Prefix that is used by developers on their workstation. So while they're writing code, they can use it to find problems with their software, basically, before they would ship the software to their customers. And then we have our flagship product, which we kind of described before, which is installed on their servers. It's actually a combination of like 4 or 5 products together. That's part of what makes us really unique, is we combine all these kind of different data sets together to give the developers kind of a whole picture of what's going on, instead of them having to use multiple different tools.
So the term APM is probably not an acronym that everybody that sees is going to know. Yeah. Can you define that?
Man, I'm trying to think of something really funny to use for that acronym, but I can't think of anything. So it stands for Application Performance Monitoring or Application Performance Management, which are kind of different things, but that's what it stands for. So okay. It's a multi-billion-dollar market space that we compete in, but most of our competitors are giant companies focused on giant customers, and most of our customers are other small businesses, small and mid-sized businesses.
And so that's the most common user you find is a small and medium-sized business? I know you have some real big users too.
We do. I mean, so most of our competitors are selling to like Fortune 5,000 companies, and people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year for products like ours. And our whole goal was to make something affordable that the masses could use, because 90% of the companies that are not the Fortune 5,000 still need a product like ours, but they'll spend a few $100s a month for it, but they're not going to spend thousands and millions. So a lot of our customers pay a couple $100 a month or whatever. And so because of that, kind of impacts our business model, how we go to market, how our product works, our product feature set, all those things is kind of geared towards a small, medium-sized business.
Is it hard to install?
No. People can go online, they can download it, install it within a few minutes. They don't have to even talk to us. About half our customers never do. They just sign up and put the credit card in. It's beautiful.
recently you told me a really impressive statistic. You have how many countries that
So
the free
our
product has been utilized
Yeah,
in?
yeah. So the free product is used in about 135 countries. The our paid product is used in about 60 to 70. Sometimes it's hard to know because like a company here in Kansas City could buy our product, but they might have developers in Vietnam or wherever, right? And so we get users from all those places too. But our website gets traffic from over 200 countries.
Okay.
So,
How long do you think it would take both of us together to name 60 countries?
120 seconds.
That'd be really fast. You must have already memorized the list.
I do watch a lot of international soccer.
All right, so Matt, you're pretty well known in the Kansas City area, and you have a pretty storied history of success with web development. Actually, Matt was in my recently published book, $1 Million Bedroom, in which I did a few small conversations with people that had been successful about different stuff. Matt actually has the record in my books, both of my books combined, for having the longest spot in there. I was so impressed with just the insight and the knowledge that you had to offer. A lot of your experience came early and it came fast with a company called Vin Solutions.
That's right.
And that you exited that business in 2010.
2011. 2011, yeah. Yeah, when I started the company, I was about 22 years old. It was in 2003, and so we had the business for about 8 years. Went through a lot of growth and learned a lot about how not to do things. Learned a few things about what to do. But yeah, I mean, it was literally a company that started in my extra bedroom, much like the book, right?
It felt very appropriate.
My dad and my one of my good friends were first employees, and they actually came over and worked with me in this extra bedroom for a few months before we had a real office. And yeah, I mean, the company grew from there to when I left, we had about 250 employees. Today, I think it's got over 500 or something, but it's still based here in Kansas City, and my dad still works there. My friend I was referring to still works there, and yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, my dad was employee number one. He's still there.
Okay. Now, in the book, there was a couple things that you said that really I felt were important for an entrepreneur that wants to get something started. And one of the things was related to software, and it was very straightforward, and it feels obvious with some experience that good software and applications have to solve a problem.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So many of the people, especially other startups that you talk to, like they want to be the next Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. But so many software companies, there's for every Facebook or Snapchat, there's like a million other companies that you've never heard of. You know, they're little companies that do software for planning content marketing or flight scheduling for a small airport or some weird medical billing software or whatever it is. And ultimately the company's got to solve a problem that somebody's willing to pay for. I hate businesses that are supported by ad revenue. I mean, if you can build one, that's great, but it's really difficult to do. It's a lot easier to solve a problem that a business will pay for, that really fundamentally makes them more efficient, helps the economy, right? It does all the things we want to do, and creates jobs and wealth and business, right?
And that was one of the reasons that you started Stackify, was to not only solve a problem, but to solve problems that were very close to home for you by solving problems for developers.
Absolutely, and I think that's the hardest thing for developers. There's a lot of developers out there that they love to create software and they'd love to start their own business, but they don't necessarily know what kind of software to create. It's like the Zuckerbergs and the Winklevoss, right? Like, the Winklevi or Vi or whatever had an idea and had money and whatever, and you got Zuckerberg, who was the brains of Facebook, and you got to get those two together, right? So if you're a developer that wants to start a software company, you just got to find somebody who's got a great idea and hopefully make that work, or go work in an industry that you can get a lot of domain knowledge and identify some problems in that industry, and then start working on how you solve those problems.
So if I'm a internet hopeful and I want to start, I just know that I need to start a .com. I want to be a tech all-star, but I don't even know where to start or begin. What are the first things that I should do?
For starting a business?
Or even one related to similar, like software as a service.
You should read this book. Would that help?
That was unsolicited, and thank you very much.
I don't know if are there chapters in here about starting a SaaS software company?
There is. There's actually a whole third of the book, and you're in that third.
Okay.
So this when you write a book, you very quickly realize who's read it and who hasn't, and this is how you figure that out, because the people that have read it will quote your own lines back to you, and not ask you if there's a section about software as a service.
So I guess all the answers are in the book.
Yes.
Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a very tactful escape from that. So, how about something more along the lines of, okay, well, here at the life of an entrepreneur. So how has being an entrepreneur affected your life? Obviously, it's had some positive effect with your exit at Vin Solutions, although you at one point had mentioned that you missed it afterward. But how's all that affected you? I'm trying to give hopeful entrepreneurs a good look at what life's really like.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned earlier we were talking about solving problems, right? And as an entrepreneur, I think that's got to be the heart of why you're an entrepreneur and really what it's all about. It's not about making money. It's about solving a problem. If all you want to do is make money, that's not going to keep you going through the bad days. And there are a lot of bad days, right, being an entrepreneur. I mean, even for myself, I've been through this before. I've done this. I get it. Still wake up once a week and go, what the hell am I doing, right? Like, this is hard. Why am I doing this? I should go work for the big corporation or government or something and just collect my paycheck. But it's that passion of solving the problem that kind of keeps you going. So luckily for me and Stackify, we're solving a problem that we're really passionate about. Like we understand the space, we understand the problem, the product, all that stuff. So anybody who wants to start a company, they've got to identify that, and that's really what you got to stay focused on is the problem. That's what keeps you going through the good and the bad.
Is that what kept you still moving forward and energized and focused on the times? What I say that all businesses get a coin toss moment, and that's that moment when you say, heads, I'm going to do this, tails, I'm out.
Well, I guess as part of the problem of being an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't know when to do that. You just continue down the path, and that's why everybody tells you to fail fast or whatever, right? Is that at some point in time you got to realize to stop, and you can do something else and give up this idea and go start another one. And that's definitely part of the challenge. But once you start having success, and what I always say, it's kind of like you work really hard and you kind of get the machine moving, and eventually the machine kind of just moves on itself, right? Like, at Vin, at some point in time we had 50 salespeople. I mean, we sold stuff. We sold lots of stuff. We, every day we had new customers, and that machine was just moving, right? That makes it a lot easier to deal with some of the ups and the downs, because you're making progress and you continue to grow. The same thing with Stackify. We grow about 10% a month, and sometimes we lose a client or we have a bad day or a slow week or whatever, but that success keeps you going, right? It's that drip of good success from a customer or good feedback from a customer or selling a new account or whatever it is that helps keep you going as well. But it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur. It's very stressful. I always say that entrepreneur must be like French for stress or depressed or something.
Maybe both.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had my problems with depression forever. I mean, it's kind of the life of an entrepreneur. It's part of it. So,
for me, it's anxiety, like waking up at 3 in the morning and you're going, oh wow, I feel like I'm making progress, but I'm going to lose 20 grand this month. How is that really progress?
Yeah. I mean, one of the big stresses we always had at Vin was just making payroll. We never raised capital. It was all bootstrapped. So we had to balance the books and not pay our bills so we could make payroll sometimes. And it was always stressful of juggling that. And it was a huge stress relief for me when we hired a CFO. It was either when we hired the CFO or our new CEO who also kind of took over that role. And just knowing that I could trust in them to not have to deal with that part anymore. And that's part of the growth. As a young company, you add people that take ownership in different pieces, and that kind of takes that off of your back. And that was one of those moments for me. Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Somebody else can deal with worrying about if we're going to make payroll or not. Just being able to trust in that. So you go through a lot of those stages.
So, talking about the just life of an entrepreneur, I feel like in some ways, when you have a company like Vin Solutions, after selling it, now you've got the winner's curse. You've publicly made a nice exit from a company, and we talked about this some in the book, and how that changed not only your own perception and expectation of yourself, but those around you.
I'd say it changes everybody else's perception a lot more than mine. I'm still very much the same person, but it is odd. Some of the perception of others is a little weird. I'm not going to say it's like running around being a celebrity or being Justin Bieber or something, but it is a little bit of some of the perception you get from some people is very interesting. It's very weird.
How do you deal with that? Do you just ignore it, or?
It's not a big deal to me. It's not something that happens a lot or anything, but I mean, it is a little different. For me, the fun part about being a entrepreneur and a business owner is really it's that journey. The first 2 or 3 years or whatever are very hard, and once you get that machine moving, it's a lot more fun, right? Like, we're having success, and I can see the success. I can see down the road. I can see where we're going, and I can start to predict that a little bit, right? Instead of just having no idea what the heck's going on, or if it's going to work or not work. Like, we know it's going to work. It's just now growing this thing. That becomes a lot more fun. And then after you sell it, it's like you kind of get to the top of the mountain and you kind of fall off on the other side, and all of a sudden you have a whole new set of challenges. And at Vin Solutions, like after they acquired us, it's like next thing you know, I got a consultant in my office every week wanting to know what we're doing and how we're doing, and security testing and all this crap that I didn't want to deal with. And probably the biggest impact it had was my personal life with my family and other people, because let's say you're my sister or whatever, and I could do something really nice for you and help you buy a car or whatever it will be. No matter how nice I am to you, everybody else will hate me because I wasn't nice to them. Like, I would literally be better off if I was mean to everybody. Because I was nice to you, everybody hates me worse because I wasn't nice to them. Like, you quickly get into that scenario, right? Like, you can never make everybody happy. And I didn't have a whole lot of people coming out of the woodwork to get money from me or anything like that. One of my other business partners acted like he had crazy hillbilly relatives that came out of the woods for him, but I have no idea. But
like the lottery winners.
Yeah. I mean, I helped my parents out, my wife's parents out a little bit, but didn't really do that. Wasn't making it rain everywhere, and a lot of people know that had a nephew who he owed like $1,000, and he was going to go to jail from, I don't know, his license was revoked or didn't have insurance, like whatever stupid thing he's did, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
This is where you learn not to do this stuff. So I'm not bailing you out.
So with that,
stuff you have to deal with. Like, one of the things I always tell people is the more stuff you have, the more stuff you have to be stressed about, right? I mean, up until a certain point, they say, once you make like $75,000 a year or whatever the number is, past that, like, you just buy more expensive stuff. Like, you buy a Mercedes instead of a Honda, but you still have a car, right? I mean, you can use an old Walmart bag as a purse if you wanted to. It's a bag, you put crap in it, you carry it, or you can go spend $3,000 on a Louis Vuitton purse. It's still a bag, you carry crap in it, right? you just buy more stuff, and it's just more expensive stuff.
We had this conversation earlier today with another, you know, gal we were talking to, and there's a financial principle called Parkinson's Law, which says that your expenses will always rise to meet your income.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's very true, because you're just pretty much bound to spend.
Yeah, people spend every dollar they make plus some.
A little more.
I mean, that's part of our problem as a culture and country. And
I think we need to find some software that solves that problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, with that is, and you're aware, because I've given you a couple copies, we had another book that came out prior to $1 Million Bedroom talking about life balance, and we're going to drop a few of these off here for you and your staff.
All right.
Just in case. And also, we talk about software wanting to solve a problem. Well, today's interview is being sponsored by GigaBook, which you're familiar with. And as a thank you for participating, GigaBook wants to offer Stackify a 1-year subscription.
Okay.
At no charge. We want to try to see what we can do to be a good local partner with you guys. And, you know, some of the things that online booking and other stuff similar to it, you know, we're certainly not the only people in the space doing it.
Sure.
But it unchains people from their business.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling of freedom that some of our users get from not having the phone and the email and text and just all day. It's, you know, 24/7, you know, trying to solve a problem there. Is it prudent for us to also mention that you're joining GigaBook as one of our advisory board members?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm very proud to have offered Matt that seat, and it's a new thing that we're doing, but his just insight into marketing, business, and everything was, it's really top-notch, Matt, and it's really earned my respect over the time that we've been friends and been hanging out. It's always an enjoyable conversation. We don't always have the same view on stuff. Like, you like to focus on things. We both have a little entrepreneurial ADD, maybe.
Maybe.
Mine's really bad. So I've been telling Matt for the last few months that someday I'll decide what I'm going to do when I grow up. So he's been kind enough to check on that process every few weeks. So we're looking forward to figuring out what some of these other applications are for GigaBook. So now with that, back to your current venture with Stackify. If I want to sign up for Stackify, I just visit the site. And
yeah, it's just stackify.com, STACKIFY. We have a free trial. People can try it out. We have online demos and all that kind of stuff, and check it out.
And it's a very informative and complete site. It's definitely something I've noticed. And, you know, I guess maybe let's just talk about that for a second, because I think that one of the things that I'm seeing you very publicly pronounce is your belief in creating quality and informative content. And not only helping your visitors and users, but providing that added value that search engines recognize too.
Yeah, I mean, a big driver to our business is content marketing. I spend a good amount of my time every week writing blog posts and all that stuff. Like today, actually, I was writing a guest interview that's going to be published on another vendor's website in our space, right? So they're like just interviewing experts who are in the industry or whatever. And so I wrote that today. And but yeah, it's always doing a lot of thought leadership stuff, a lot of blogging, a lot of product marketing about our product. But you know, we'll have over 200,000 people visit our website this month, all from organic search from Google. We're not paying for that traffic. And I mean, you can imagine that volume of traffic leads to a lot of brand awareness, a lot of, you know, people learning about who we are and what we do, and people signing up for our software and stuff. So actually, I sent you a message this morning, like 8 in the morning. We'd already had 10 people signed up to try our software before 8 this morning. But we have a lot of customers in Europe and stuff. So you know, we wake up in the morning, we got worldwide traffic. But
2 years ago, that would have been how long to sign up 10, or how much would that have cost?
Quite
a bit.
I mean, that might have been like a a week's worth of trials, right? Or some, yeah, when you go back. Our website traffic's up like 5 times what it was in January this year. So
And that's actually probably when I think it was around January when we sat down and did the conversation that ended up in $1 Million Bedroom. And
yeah,
you were just at the time really talking about content marketing.
Yeah.
And you said, I think we're on to something here.
yeah.
And I think you're even saying, but it takes a long time to create the articles, and you were
It's a lot of
still
work.
maybe even doing marketing on Twitter or somewhere.
We still do a little
else.
bit of paid
Yeah.
stuff, but we put a lot of effort into the organic content we create.
Who's the best blogger here?
Me.
Might be true. If there's only some software that could figure out how to track that, right?
Yeah, that so you talk about entrepreneur ADD. That's been part of my problem is we spend a lot of money every month on creating content. Like we have freelancers, and I spend a lot of my time, which isn't really money, but it's my time. We have full-time employee. We have all these people creating content for us, and it's been really hard to measure the performance of it. Like knowing does it work, does it not work, what content converts, what type of content should we be creating? Like literally not a tool to do this. So I've had to like build one internally that we're using. Just collecting all this different data together and building reports. And like I was looking at a report earlier today of like all the terms on our website ranks for like 40,000 keywords on Google. So it's like of those keywords, are there certain topics in there that we should be writing about, like that we don't rank very well for, but we already rank for? Like trying to discover topics that we didn't know we should be writing on and stuff like that. So it's just trying to figure all those things out. I spent a lot of time on that stuff actually.
I think that's probably the thing that has always impressed me most, because I take the shotgun approach, and you're much more precise. I load it up and scatter it out and hope to hit something, and you're a lot more scientific about it. Now the difference, I write checks, Matt writes code.
That's part of it.
He writes checks.
You write a lot of checks, I guess.
I might.
You're just
yeah.
writing checks everywhere?
Maybe. Do you want one?
Yeah.
How much? Just tell me. Just $1 million?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, right there.
Well, as you mentioned earlier about being an entrepreneur and the problem, and I mentioned about you got to find an industry and have domain experience and find a problem you can solve. I mean, for me, it's this marketing problem now, right? Like, I've spent all this time like looking at different tools around the industry, trying to find. I don't want to create this product. I want to find something for like $200 a month. I can just put my credit card in and it magically solves this problem, but it doesn't exist. So, as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to figure out now, like, man, do I solve this problem? How do I build this tool that I can get other people to give me $200 a month for or whatever? So that's how you run across these things. And
what's your measuring stick for figuring out if something's has market viability, or if it's just something useful?
Well, that's the problem is, it's easy to yourself think you're onto something, and you got to kind of go outside of your own, inner thoughts around, is there really a market to this? Is it really a problem that people will pay for? And I did some of that last week. I met with a couple people last week. Another gentleman I'm working with potentially on the project is talking to some people and just trying to get that feedback. Like, how do I get what market validation, right? Of like, and I've done a lot of industry research trying to find one of these tools, and I can't find one. So, but I think, I've spent a little bit of time on it to solve my own problems, but I haven't spent a bunch of money or time on it to fully develop it all out. And before I do that, I want to figure out, is this really have legs, and is it a problem worth solving? And just trying to figure it out. It's the problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Watson, Stackify. Thanks for having a conversation with me
thank
today,
you.
Matt. I really appreciate it.